Record this. Okay. All right, so before I get started, give me just a brief background on what you are doing with 4D. I don't know if you've seen much of Synchro with the other offices or not, but if you're doing 4D, what tool are you using? What's your experience with it?
Currently, as far as the rest of this region, anyways, goes, probably doing some minimum 4D stuff with Navisworks, using Timeliner. I mean, that's my extent of it. I used Synchro on a demo basis a couple of years ago, and that, for I guess a couple of weeks, and that was my limited experience with it. Nationwide, we're using it on several projects, and looking to keep doing that. Here locally, we have I'm in Dallas, and we haven't had any 4D projects yet, but we've got a couple coming up we think we want to use it on. So definitely want to do.
Talking about delivering the project with 4D?
Do what?
You're talking about delivering the project in 4D?
Well, yeah, having a 4D schedule on for the project itself.
Okay.
There's a couple that are in mind that use that right now, so it's like I said, I don't know about the other offices at this point. I know there's one down in San Antonio that's interested in using it, and there's I think a couple up here in the Dallas area that are interested in using it. So,
okay, good.
I don't know how far along everybody else is, though.
Anybody else want to comment? Nope. Okay.
No, probably not.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so you said Synchro a few years ago. You used Timeliner recently on some stuff. Is that typically for chasing work or actually 4D on the project?
4D on a project for certain elements. If you want to see the progressions of I guess key elements. Timeliner to me is a little cumbersome, so it's a little difficult to use.
Yeah, it's I hear that very commonly from my customers for sure. Okay, so what I want to do, we'll jump into the software because I get kind of a feeling for where you're at with 4D and understanding of that, is to show you the user interface of Synchro, and then what I'll do is I'll bring a model in, bring a schedule in, and just link the model to the schedule, so it kind of shows you the bones of the system and how it works. And if you're okay with that, we'll proceed on. So this is a conversation. Stop, interrupt me, ask questions, lead me in the direction that of things that you want to get answers to. So don't be just jump right in. So what you see here, you see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So up here we have our scheduling information, there are Gantt chart information, our 3D window here, obviously our toolbar across the top. Down our left vertical side is what it's called our navigator toolbar, and as you notice, each one of these tabs has a bunch of data behind these tabs. So these are more of like what I call global information. You can see our 3D, so our raw 3D that comes into Synchro is going to come into here. We can do multiple things with the 3D information. If I zip these tabs down, you'll see we can create 3D paths in Synchro, so I can create a path. I can attach an object to that path, and I can move it along that path over a specific period of time. So crane movements, equipment movements, those kind of things in the model very quickly, very efficiently. We can create text properties. We can rotate the model, translate it, scale it, world align, measurement, and user fields. So user fields are out of Revit. If you publish a model via DWF, we can take all the parameter data out of Revit and bring it directly into Synchro for that model. So if I click on an object, it'll show me the dimensions of that object, what it's called, location, all those types of things directly out of Revit, okay? So that's 3D. Resources are we bring in raw CAD geometry. We create them as something, as a material resource or a piece of equipment or a location or human, so which are the four things on a job site. And I'll show you how we take 3D into a resource. Filters of how we view models. We can do multiple things, which we'll get into a little bit later. Use profiles are, if you want to do cement work or concrete, you can create profiles that are formwork, rebar, pour concrete, strip forms. We can do that via color and transparency of the CAD of the objects in the model. We'll go through some of that later too. External data, what we brought into the model. We can save viewpoints, so a specific view of the model and of the schedule. We can save those. You can export those out as a high-quality JPEG for PowerPoint presentations or for construction booklets on the job site to disseminate that information. User fields and parameter data, we talked about out of Revit. Projects, information, baselines. We can create multiple baselines. We can save as many baselines as you want in Synchro, and we can do side-by-side analysis and comparison of those baselines. So I can have 2 3D windows in Synchro running multiple baselines, following different schedules, right? So baseline A, January 1, baseline B is February or March 1. And I can view the differences of those baselines directly in Synchro. We can create movies and or animations in Synchro, which can export out to AVI files for presentations. Spatial coordination, so we can clash our schedule in a 4D perspective. Alerts or broken logical links that I can either accept or fix. Multiple calendars, activity codes. So we support out of P3, P6. You've got activity codes, they come into Synchro. We support full-blown activity code mode inside of Synchro. Risk analysis, companies and users and roles. Okay, so there's a lot of information in Synchro. And the reason why is if you're going to be scheduling and planning, you have to have information to make good decisions. And if you don't have information, then you have you're going to make decisions based off less information, which are going to be not as thorough of a decision on the job site. So we want to make sure as much information you have at your fingertips so you can make great decisions. That's kind of from a global side. Now from a very detailed side, a tasks perspective, each one of these tasks over here has information about a task. So if I come in here and I just type in task 1, hit enter, you'll notice that it creates an activity, right? Now if I go to my general tab and I highlight this task, you'll see the information about that task. Now if I highlight my links task here and I come back to my schedule and I can just create multiple tasks, I'll highlight 1, I'll hold shift, highlight 7, I'll link these tasks in a chain, and I have automatic rescheduling on. If I had it turned off, I'd push F9 like in Primavera and say, okay, reschedule that. Oops, I'm going to apply to all, sorry, take that box. And now you'll notice I've just created the logic in Synchro. And turn my phone off. Okay, so now if you noticed, I've now created logic, and I'm going to highlight tasks 4, and in my links now you can see my predecessors and my successors. And if I click on predecessor, it'll show me the logic. Then just start, and if I want to change it, I can just change the logic directly in Synchro. And this is our lag or delay. Most people like to call it lag. We can go positive or negative. So we have the scheduling capabilities in Synchro, and we've worked really hard on the ability to be a really solid scheduling system for construction. So we control the schedule in Synchro. So with Primavera, P3, P6, we have 4 ways we operate, which we're a bidirectional communication of Primavera. So we're a technology partner of Primavera. We can import, export, synchronize to, and synchronize from Primavera. So for an example, you've got a schedule in P6 or P3. You bring it to Synchro. You have your model, and you start linking your model to your schedule. And carte blanche, every single time I've ever seen a customer do this, or us internally, is you find out when you visualize it that it's not right. Right? There's issues with logic, there's issues with things starting, too soon or too late, and so you want to go fix those. Well, in other systems that you're probably used to, you've got to then handwrite those down, go back to Primavera, fix all the stuff in Primavera, pull it back out, stick it back in the system, and render it again, because then what you fixed now caused other problems in logic. So you do this iterative process back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Well, in Synchro, we control the schedule. So I take the schedule from Primavera, I bring it to Synchro, by a push of a button. I can now change my logic in Synchro, and then now I can synchronize to Primavera, and it makes all my updates right into Primavera automatically. Well, automatically as far as I push a button, there's a couple things I want to control, and then I send the data back to Primavera. So we control the schedule completely inside of Synchro. Okay, any questions on that?
No.
Okay. All right, and so we've got our links here. We've got our resources. So as we consume a resource against a task, you'll see those resources here. the use profiles, 3D paths, I'll show you later, but this is where they reside in the resource tab. We've got activity codes for that task. We've got risk analysis for that task. We've got monitoring of that task. Okay. We've also got task costs. So if you want to do cost-loaded Primavera schedule, bring the Synchro, all the costs come in, or you can directly input the costs into Synchro if you want to, but we do 5D from a cost perspective. And we've got cost totals, okay, resource, human, other totals. We've also got supply chain information on that task. We've got statistics on that task, so earned value of that task also. And then we have user fields, okay? So a lot of information in Synchro, data-rich environment, so you can make great decisions about your project, okay? Now, with that said, if we're good, I'm going to jump in to bring a model in, bring a schedule in, and link it and show you how we link it to the model to the schedule. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me just back up and I'll take all this stuff out and get a fresh sheet. Okay, so I'm going to go to my external data tab, and I can also go file, import, but I like to use my tabs over here so I see what data I have in. So external data, in this box here, I'll right click, I'm going to say import. We import Asta Power Project, which is like a Primavera for the UK, or not the UK, for Europe. We got Microsoft Project XML files we bring in, PMA NetPoint, P3, which I don't have on my machine, but I do have P6. IFC file formats for CAD models, 3D models for all of the models except for IFC files. So we've got an IFC file import, we've got a 3D, and a Synchro project. So Synchro project is, I've got a crane, I've got the laydown area predefined, I've got the schedule to erect it and deconstruct it, pre-package and pre-can sitting off to the side. And when I use that crane, I can just bring that Synchro project into my project and say, okay, where's my laydown area going to go? It's already predefined how much space I need, and I can figure that out. So pre-can things on projects where you've got a lot of things happening, you can have a schedule in 3D in a Synchro project. If it's a large hospital, and you could have 2 or 3 different Synchro projects that you could then bring together for a global view of the entire project. Okay? So I'm going to go back to 3D. I'm going to select that. I'm going to add files. This will take a second to open. And I'm going to go to my documents, Synchro, my models, and go to training file. I'm going to grab this office building DWF file. And before I import that, I'm going to show you the files that we import into Synchro. So ACIS files, AutoCAD DWGs, DXF, DWF, CATIA 4, CATIA 5, hoops, IGES files, MicroStation, Parasol files, ProE files, SolidWorks files, STEP files, and JT files. We also bring in SketchUp, but SketchUp doesn't reside on a 64-bit operating platform. So that's why you don't see the SKP SketchUp file format in here. So either you work in SketchUp, publish it out as a DWG, import it in Synchro, but the best way to do is actually is to download our 32-bit version of the software and import SketchUp directly into Synchro in a 32-bit mode, because it imports better in SKP versus a DWG. Okay, any questions on file imports? We also have all the AutoCAD object